Let's get an update now on Thabo Bester's jail time, or just the saga as where it stands right now. We've got in the studio with us Correctional Services spokesperson Singabakho Nxumalo. Thank you so much for your time. We have spent a lot of time talking to you over the last few weeks, so we do appreciate you coming to the studio on a Saturday afternoon, no less. Let's start with the movement and location of Thabo Bester himself. He appeared in the Mangaung Magistrates Court yesterday. We all saw that, as that is the city where the crime of escaping from the prison in Mangaung took place. Where was he taken to after that appearance, and where is he now?
A very good afternoon. Thank you for having us. Perhaps let's go back a bit. When Bester landed from Tanzania, he was admitted at Nxumalo II Correctional Facility. Then when he needed to appear in Bloemfontein, he was then moved by our officials from Nxumalo all the way to Bloemfontein. And at the end of the proceedings on that particular day, which is yesterday, he was then transported back to Nxumalo. So this is also to make it clear, because we've seen some reports that he's been taken somewhere else. No, his facility for now is the Nxumalo II Correctional Center. There is a CMAX section there. That's where he's housed currently.
Now, Bester was denied the opportunity to address the court yesterday. We saw that. His lawyer then stated that his client wanted to address the fact that he fears for his life. He fears being poisoned, and he said at the time that his client was not eating. I believe the court then told the lawyer, take it up with Correctional Services. What has Correctional Services officially been told by Bester or his legal representatives about his current state of mind? And then also in follow-up to your first answer, why was the decision made to keep him at Nxumalo Correctional Facility?
Okay. It's important also to state that the mandate of Correctional Services is not simply just to house and rehabilitate inmates. It is also about their safety of inmates, our officials, and people who come into our correctional centers. So if there is any threat to his life, we have to make it a point that such is eliminated and that he is safe. Hence, we said we took him to CMAX because there he will be under constant surveillance by our officials, because harm cannot be anticipated to be just from other inmates or people from outside, but even to check whether he is not a danger to himself. Hence that constant supervision by our officials. And he's kept there, he's being monitored all the time. And the CMAX then makes that particular function much easier. We were also alive to the reports that he has not eaten and all those things. And upon his return from the court yesterday, we did check if he was given dinner, and that was done. Even this morning, he was given breakfast as well. Because in that facility, inmates do not go and queue for meals. They get given meals in their cells, but they will still get their hours for exercise and also to consult the healthcare professional, psychologist, and if it is a need for social worker. It is all about ensuring that the inmate is safe and that his special needs are responded to. So Mr. Bester is afforded the same, just like any other inmate. But the risk, yes, remains high. Hence, then, our officials are making a point that he's being monitored at all times.
And has there been any official communication from him or his legal representatives to you about his state of mind or these fears that he had reportedly had?
The good thing is that lawyers can always approach the head of center when they will want to consult with an inmate or if they've got any concerns to raise, and those get to be attended to. A lawyer does not need to wait for a particular day for visitations to take place. They can go to a correctional facility, ask for the head of center, and state their reasons why they're being there, and such must be attended to. It is their right. So we do not have any complaint at this stage which may.
So nothing official has been brought to your attention.
Nothing official, but one can check whether he has received visits beside the ones that were done in preparation for his appearance yesterday.
Now, we heard in court that Bester would be remanded until May. That's where his next appearance officially is supposed to take place. But we understand that the others who were arrested in connection with his case are appearing on Monday. Can you just give us some clarity about who is appearing where and what charges?
What happens to us? We get notification from a court to say this particular inmate is scheduled to appear on this particular day at this particular hour. Our job is to deliver that person there. So I wouldn't want to disclose the dates and other things because there's a security risk involved there. But we have to make it a point that on the set date, at that particular hour, the inmate is ready and is presented there. So as you said, Mr. Thabo Bester is at Nxumalo Correctional Facility. Whenever he's due to appear in court, we'll take him to whatever court where he will need to appear. The other remandees who have to appear before courts, those ones are not convicted as yet, meaning that the SAPS will need to take them from, they get to be released temporarily from our facilities. SAPS will take them to court and bring them back and be admitted once more. But it's important that those people do arrive in court in a safe way and that they are brought back safe. That is very important.
Perhaps just, I mean, a lot of people would probably know the difference, but a lot of people might not about our different correctional facilities. You explain about how he's been put at Nxumalo Correctional Facility because the structures in place there make it easier for you to ensure his absolute safety. Can you perhaps just shortly explain to us what are some of the things that are different about CMAX, about that correctional facility, Nxumalo, by comparison to perhaps Mangaung, where he was held before? For those that perhaps don't know the inner workings of those different facilities.
Okay, I will not go deep to an extent
we don't have that much time.
Security yet. But what's happening, Nxumalo is one of the big five, meaning that Nxumalo will have all categories, your low risk, medium, maximum. It then has the CMAX, which you may classify as a super max. That's where your high-profile inmates will be housed. But then, and
I hope high-profile, you don't mean as in celebrities, but high-profile in terms of the types of crimes they've been convicted of.
In terms of the crimes that they may have committed, but even the risk. When you say it's the risk, because that's a person that you cannot take into a communal cell because other inmates may either attack that person or that person may harm other people. Then the CMAX there is designed in a way that it caters for people classified to be of that high risk, and it's people that you cannot gamble by taking them to a facility where anything could happen, where you may find that perhaps the number of officials there may not be sufficient. So the CMAX, even the routine in terms of how they monitor them, it's difficult even for inmates to master it because officials are always there. Even movements, when do they go for shower, when do they receive meals, and where do they go consult other specialists. Everything is detailed differently because of the element of risk. So, and the Supermax in this country only have two. It is CMAX and Ebongweni, which is in Kokstad. So you will not find an inmate who has committed a minor crime there, but who have to be classified to be really of high risk, and hence we'll take you to those, because you have to be managed differently.
Now, Singabakho, a lot of information was made public during this special sitting in Parliament that looked at specifically the G4S contract, amongst other matters pertaining to the Thabo Bester saga. Part of that included the fact that it was made public that the Correctional Services contract with G4S runs until, I believe, 2026. And I think that was a part of the questioning with regards to your seniors in Correctional Services, indeed the Minister of Justice, Ronald Lamola. Does this mean, just in terms of you as spokesperson for Correctional Services, from what you know, that no matter what comes out of this investigation into the Thabo Bester case, that contract will run its course?
Contracts are very different, delicate, and you ought to manage them in a particular way, even the things that you say out there. But what as a department we've made it clear, even before Parliament, is that we've referred it to our legal department to get an opinion. But that contract's term will definitely expire in 2026, and we've made it clear that we've got no intentions whatsoever to either extend or renew. Hence, we even have a plan in place in terms of a takeover, because the contract, remember, it's a 25-year contract. Then it even details when Correctional Services must start with processes of taking over, even in the last 12 months being very critical, because it is not just the walls, even the operations, the security systems, the type of technologies that they have, because some of it may differ slightly with what we have in other facilities. So that work is already in motion. So at the end of that contract, there is no other way. We have to take over. But what happens between now and 2026, that's a matter that we've referred to our legal services to give us an opinion. And because what happened there disturbed us quite greatly as a department.
And is there something in your contract, is there a clause that says if X, Y, and Z happens or X, Y, and Z is not taken care of, we have the right to cut this contract short?
What we've done already, we have removed the director of that particular facility from G4S, and we've installed a temporal manager. The contract affords for that. That's what we've done, and we've roped in other officials to assist this temporal manager who's from Correctional Services to say at least get things working, make it a point that the facility is efficient whilst we are still reviewing, if there are other avenues available to us. But the work needs to continue. Come 2026, there is no other way. But what happens between now and 2026, our legal services will advise us.
Singabakho, I wonder if I could ask you to take us into your confidence. I mean, your organization, the Correctional Services Department, has been front and center in one of the biggest stories this country has ever seen.
Yes.
A lot of pressure, a lot of difficult questions being asked, and a lot of focus obviously on the bad apples within the organization as well. And sometimes one can forget about the good apples, the men and women who put their lives at risk
Yes.
every day, keeping us safe as well as the inmates of the various correctional services facilities. Has this had an impact on the morale of the men and women who work for correctional services right now? What's the morale like? What's being spoken about in the different offices and the hallways of correctional services across the country?
I can state that a number of our officials were disappointed with what happened there. And we have very hardworking, committed officials. And they've been asking us questions as management to say, but is there another thing? Because they are taking a knock, even though we are not operationally there, that particular facility. But when people see them wearing our uniform, they say, these are these people who have done, here they are. So as a department, it's something that really concerns us, and we have a duty to protect our officials. But we've been encouraging them to say, let us continue doing the best that we're able to do, as we've been doing over time. We are attending to that particular incident, bad as it is, but the work needs to continue because the track record has been good in terms of the work that we're able to do. But when an incident of that nature happens, that in a way shocks the whole world. We can't look aside. We've got to confront it, hands on. Hence, even the delays in the investigations, we are being blamed for that. It's okay, we accept it. But I guess by now everyone can see that so many things went in there. And it's something that has to be handled in a very delicate way so that you make it a point that you don't lose other things, and that whoever that may have been involved there is brought forward to account for whatever that they may have committed. But our officials are very committed, hardworking. Hence, when some of them deviate from the core mandate, we take very firm action against them, and we do not look the other way. If someone has done something criminal, it's us who will go and open the criminal case against them. But we have very committed, hardworking men and women in brown. We've got about 38,000 officials working for Correctional Services, and they're doing a good job. But with this incident, you can only say to them, keep working, keep pushing. There's a whole lot of good work happening behind those big walls.
Because, I mean, one of the big pieces of information that came out in Parliament was the one that said that it became apparent that Thabo Bester had escaped late last year, a few months before the end of the year, but that was kept... Well, the cover-up, I suppose, is the word that we should use, but they kept a lid on it for the purposes of the investigation. That's the line that we've been given. That's the kind of thing that could leave noses bent out of shape in a department such as yours, when you say, no, but the form book says, our rules and regulations says, when this happened, this is what you're supposed to do, and that clearly didn't happen here.
And we've been at pains explaining how the system works, because you've got a facility being operated by another entity. Yes, we've got to provide oversight, but they say to us, Correctional Services, an inmate has committed suicide, and this is what has happened. You've got no reason to doubt such a report. To say, okay, what does the procedure say? Is this natural or unnatural? It says unnatural. When unnatural, then immediately start to investigate what are the circumstances which led to that person committing suicide. And when you are busy with that particular investigation, then a whole lot of other things,
other questions,
they come to the fore. Once you're busy with that investigation, then other people are removed. Some are dismissed, some they are placed on suspension. Then there's a gap. You don't get all the information that you want at the same time. You also have other entities also brought in, which you need to appreciate because they then assist to say, we need to find what you call the result of what's really happened here. And in that process, once you're busy with it, you've got the people operating facility maintaining that, no, this person died.
Yeah, because that's the official line they've been given.
That was the line.
And they've been trained to follow the official line.
And we've been pushing to a point where, as Correctional Services, we said, well, hang on, our own investigation is telling us something different from what they're telling us. We had to be bold.
So there are issues of trust that would have been brought up now in this, that we can't trust that. When our managers told us this is the official line, how can we trust that next time that is the case as well?
Hence, even now, we said, look, let us remove your director of prison there. Let us install a temporal manager, our official, so that at least we can account for things happening there. Because something that happened since May, disturbed us, because people are saying, but what type of work correctional systems are we doing if people are able to? But we're saying this is what was given to us.
Yeah.
And the investigation took long because of the challenges encountered. And it's not only us. Every other institution that went in to investigate were also saying the same thing in Parliament, to say it was not easy, it was not easy. And unfortunately, with investigations, they do take time. But where we got to a point where we said, no more, we are going out with our findings. If you differ with them, take us on. And after that, and I think a few days before we went to Parliament, they then came to us to say, no, in actual fact, it does seem like this was an escape.
Gosh, what a complex story, and I'm sure we definitely haven't heard the end of it, especially in those months leading up to where we stand right now. Just finally, just for final clarity, Singabakho, what information can you give us about who is appearing when, on Monday or whenever? I know you said some doesn't fall within the gambit of Correctional Services because they're not convicted criminals like Thabo Bester is. Others fall within the SAPS. Just lay it out for us clearly. Who appears next?
Okay, that space is more about Department of Justice and NPA. And I know that some of the people remanded will be appearing sometime next week. But with Mr. Thabo Bester, the postponement was for a month. One can get the actual date. But what is important is that whoever that has to appear before court will be there. As long as those people are in our facilities as is, we will make it a point that they are made available. Those that SAPS must transport to court, they will take them.
Okay.
Mr. Bester, who's with us, who's our responsibility because he's a convicted person, will take him there. And we demonstrated yesterday that indeed we are capable. We took him to Bloemfontein and back to Oshambu.
So as far as you know right now, Mr. Bester, who is in your care, is not appearing anywhere on Monday?
The word that we got from court was that there is no need for him to appear because other people that are charged with him that we're praying for a bail application, okay, I don't think he's making the same request. Great.
Thank you so much for your insight, and thanks for some honest sharing about where you and your department and your colleagues find yourselves in right in the middle of this ongoing saga. Singabakho Nxumalo is the spokesperson for the Department of Correctional Services. We thank him for his time this afternoon, as always.